The P-Card is a MasterCard issued by Citibank, which authorizes the cardholder to make purchases on behalf of TWU for official business purposes only. P-Cards will be issued to full-time TWU employees only. Every P-Card belongs to the state of Texas, and all state purchasing rules must be followed regardless of funding source. All funds used for P-Card purchases are treated as if they are state-appropriated funds. Every transaction must be tax-exempt. All purchases are subject to open records request and will be audited by Procurement and Contract Services and by the state of Texas. All orders must be delivered to a TWU address. All receipts must be itemized. Use of the P-Card is encouraged on small, infrequent purchases as it is easy, quick, and cost-effective. It is particularly useful for online ordering. Approver. A faculty staff member who electronically reviews and approves P-Card transactions for compliance with university procurement card policies and ensures funds are available. Cardholder. A faculty or staff member to whom the P-Card is issued and is responsible for any charges placed on the card. Reviews all P-Card charges, maintains records of each transaction, and reconciles the P-Card statement each billing cycle. Concur. The online reconciliation software for all P-Card charges. Credit Card Services Administrator, your contact in the procurement office for all questions about and/or issues with P-Card use. The cardholder is responsible for the security of the P-Card. The card should be treated with the same level of care as a personal credit card. Keep the card in a secure location. Most cardholders do not keep the P-Card in their wallet. It stays in a locked drawer or file cabinet until needed to make a purchase. The only person authorized to use the card is the person whose name is printed on the card, unless it is a department card. If your card is lost, stolen, or you notice fraudulent use, notify the Credit Card Services Administrator immediately. Sharing the P-Card with other employees or students is not permitted. Sharing the P-Card for any reason will result in having the card permanently canceled unless it is a department card. Single transaction limit. The maximum amount of money a cardholder can spend in one transaction. The single transaction limit across the university is variable. A single transaction may include multiple items but cannot exceed a total cost of the assigned single transaction limit. Split transactions. A transaction may not be split or divided in any way in order to bypass transaction limits. Doing so will result in automatic suspension or cancellation of P-Card privileges. Restricted or prohibited. The state of Texas restricts certain purchases on P-Cards. Cardholders who purchase restricted items using their P-Card are subject to disciplinary action. If you, as an approver, ever feel that a P-Card is being misused, you can contact the Credit Card Services Administrator to have the card canceled. All vendors paid using a P-Card must be in good standing with the state. You must research the vendor's hold status before making any purchase over $500 by visiting the State Comptroller's website and searching the vendor's name. If the vendor is on hold for any reason, you must choose a different vendor. Take a screenshot of the search result for the chosen vendor in good standing and submit it with your receipts. Instructions and examples can be found here. A historically underutilized business is a for-profit entity that has not exceeded the size standards prescribed by the Texas Administrative Code and has its principal place of business in Texas and is at least 51% owned by an Asian Pacific American, African American, Hispanic American, Native American, American women, and/or service-disabled veteran who resides in Texas and actively participates in the control, operations, and management of the entity's affairs. Select a hub whenever possible. Cardholders should make credit card purchases from the list of certified hubs. Sales and use tax. TWU is a tax-exempt organization. The cardholder is responsible for ensuring that sales and use taxes are not charged at the time of the transaction. If taxes are charged, work with the vendor to get the tax amount credited back to the card. If the vendor will not refund the tax amount, the cardholder must reimburse the tax amount to the bursar's office. Proof of that reimbursement must be submitted with the reconciliation of the billing cycle during which the tax was charged. You will receive a wallet-sized tax-exempt card along with your P-Card. You can request a replacement tax-exempt card at any time by emailing pcardacct@twu.edu. Travel expenses are prohibited. No travel purchases can be charged on the P-card. Do not hold hotel reservations with the P-card. Office supplies. Summit is the preferred office supply vendor for TWU. Contact procure@twu.edu to request a login for shopping at Summit. Amazon Prime Business Account. Once you get your P-card, you will receive an invitation email to join. Do not use a personal Amazon Prime account with the P-card. Always price compare between Summit and Amazon before purchasing with Amazon. Technology can be purchased when $500 or less. Obtain a quote and an email of compliance from IT Solutions prior to completing these transactions. Check this link for certain common technology purchases that may be purchased outside of the quote process with a P-card. Do not purchase an Apple computing product with a P-card regardless of price. Apple computing products must be purchased with the requisition purchase order. Purchasing Apple accessories, cords, cases, etc. is allowed on the P-card. Office furniture. Obtain a quote and an email of compliance from Facilities Planning and Design Services before completing any purchase of office furniture. Marketing. All advertising, banners, flyers, and other materials created to promote university-related events and activities must be approved by the Marketing and Creative Services team prior to distribution. Email your art item to marcomdesign@twu.edu and allow 3 days for review and approval. An email of compliance from marketing and a tear sheet are required for reconciliation. Human resources. Advertisements for recruitment of faculty or staff positions must be approved by the Human Resources Department. Individual departments are not authorized to place such advertisements without proper approval. An email of compliance from HR and a tear sheet are required for reconciliation. These purchases will be routed to the appropriate department for approval and concur during the reconciliation process. If a return is made, make sure the credit appears on the statement. When the credit is posted to the P-card, it must be reconciled to the same account it was originally charged to in Concur. The expense type in Concur must match the expense type of the original charge. Should a problem arise with a transaction, attempt to resolve the issue directly with the vendor. If the issue cannot be resolved with the vendor, contact Citibank at 1-800-248-4553 within 10 days of the end of the billing cycle to initiate the dispute process. If a P-card is ever declined, contact the Credit Card Services Administrator. The billing cycle closes on the 3rd of each month. If the 3rd falls during a weekend or a holiday, the cycle will close the preceding business day. All transactions will be posted to the account by the 6th of each month. Reconciliation can be completed by the 6th since no other transactions will post. All reconciliation and approvals must be done by the 13th of each month. Reconciliation of transactions can take place as soon as it posts. It can be done daily, weekly, or once a month. Whichever way works best for the cardholder is fine. Audit rules are built into Concur to ensure employees are in line with P-card policy and university best practices. Exception warnings and/or hard stops will display if a cardholder violates any of the audit rules built into Concur. Yellow warnings are soft stops and are designed to warn the traveler. Yellow warnings do not prevent a cardholder from submitting an expense report for approval. Red warnings are hard stops. The red warnings must be resolved before submitting an expense report for approval. Exceptions display at the top of the expense report. If a transaction contains items requiring more than one charge account, it will be allocated to the appropriate account. As an approver, you will only see transactions that are on accounts you approve. If a transaction contains more than one expense type, it will be itemized to the appropriate expense type. Once all transactions have been reconciled and all receipts have been uploaded, you will receive an email notification that the expense report needs to be reviewed and approved. If you are an approver delegate and/or a previewer delegate has been set up in your Concur profile, the approval emails will be sent to both you and any delegates with appropriate permissions. All receipts and any supporting documentation will be uploaded in Concur. Following each receipt, include any additional required supporting documentation. Examples are vendor hold screenshot for transactions over $500, quote and email of compliance from IT Solutions, email of approval from Facilities Management for the purchase of office furniture, advertisement tear sheet, and email of approval from HR for job listings or ads, email of approval from marketing and communications. For departmental P cards only, the departmental card checkout log, delegate agreement forms for any delegates who shopped during that billing cycle. Once routed for approval, an expense report is available from the Approvals tab in Concur. Review all transactions for purchasing guideline compliance, use of the correct department account number and expense type for the purchase, review any exceptions that display at the top of the expense report, itemize receipts and supporting documentation. If all information entered in Concur is correct, you will need to verify that funds are available in your department account to cover the transactions. Refer to Approving an Expense Report for detailed instructions. Online reconciliation, receipt uploads, and online approval must all be completed by the 13th of each month. If the 13th falls during a weekend or a holiday, documentation is due the preceding business day. If documentation and/or approval is submitted or completed after the deadline, there will be an automatic 30-day suspension. Approvers must have all transactions approved by the 13th. For a full detailed scope pertaining to the P-Card program, please go to our website, www.twu.edu/procurement/procurement card P-Card program. The Procurement and Contract Services team is always willing to help with any questions you may have. Contact the Credit Card Services Administrator at PCARD account or PCARDACCT@twu.edu or at 940-898-3545. For other procurement and contract services related questions, contact us at procure@twu.edu or by calling 940-898-3535.